At a coffee shop, a boy explained to a girl that his love was not enough for her, or perhaps she was not his soulmate. These words infuriated the girl, and she lashed out, causing everyone to turn their heads. Two girls nearby watched. One asked if that was Hananoi, making the short-haired girl question who Hananoi was. The girl explained to Hotaru that Hananoi was the handsome boy in their class. Hotaru, barely paying attention and more interested in her dessert, mentioned she was trying to recall who her classmates were. The girl yelling at Hananoi interrupted their conversation, telling him he would never be in a proper relationship. They watched as he stood up and left. Hotaru wondered aloud how someone could say such a hurtful thing to someone they once loved, to which her friend replied that great love can turn into extreme hatred, and that when Hotaru experiences love, she will understand. Hotaru then asked if having a boyfriend meant prioritizing them over friends and family. Her friend revealed she had a boyfriend. Hotaru clapped and congratulated her. Hotaru is 16 years old and had lived a life without romance, but was surrounded by family and friends. As snowflakes gently fell from the sky, Hotaru walked with an umbrella over her head. She noticed the same boy sitting alone on a bench near the playground. She approached him and extended her umbrella to cover them both, unaware that this small gesture would change her life. In class, Hananoi approached her, asked her if she was Hotaru. He then confessed he was in love with her and asked her to be his girlfriend. The next day, as she was walking, Hananoi greeted her. She asked if she had been waiting for her, and he agreed. She questioned why he had done that, despite her respectfully declining his offer. He replied he thought he should put effort into properly introducing himself to her first. They walked together, and other students gossiped about seeing them together, remarking on how strange it was that he had asked her such a question in front of the entire class. Hananoi started a conversation with Hotaru, asking her about her preferences, like hairstyles. She explained she liked short hair because it was easy to wash. However, she soon cut him off and asked why he had chosen her. Hananoi explained that when she covered him with the umbrella, he thought she must be his soulmate. Once they reached their classes, they parted ways. Her friend asked why she was coming to school with Hananoi. Hotaru explained to her friends what had occurred and said Hananoi seemed mysterious. As she was standing in the hallway holding a box, Hananoi approached her and helped carry it to the faculty room. She noticed he had cut his hair short, which shocked her. He smiled and asked if she liked him more now with the short hair. She told him she thought they were talking about her hair the other day. He asked if she did not like it with a frown on his face. She questioned if he did it to match her preferences, and he agreed. She apologized, saying he was doing so much for her, but now she did not know what it meant to have feelings for someone. During lunch, Hotaru's friends were busy, so they did not sit with her, and then Hananoi asked if he could join her. She agreed. He gave her her favorite food, which made her happy, and they shared it. Hotaru told him he did not have to change for her. He just had to be himself. In physical education class, Hotaru gave her hairpins to her friend, but the friend lost them. The two girls and Hananoi went back to look for it, but it was snowing outside, so he and Hotaru walked home instead. He called her at night, asking what the hairpin looked like, then hanging up. But she felt like he might be at school looking for it despite him reassuring her he was not, so she left and ran to school. She found him looking in the snow, and he apologized, saying he wanted to find it and surprise her, but he had not found it yet. She asked why he was doing all of this, and he said he just wanted to see her smile. He asked her to go home, but she hugged him and yelled for him to stop. She led him inside the school and dried his hair with a towel. The next day, when she saw him at school, he ignored her, which made her frown. She approached him, and he said he would stop bothering her and gave her the hairpin. She thanked him and said it was her family's gift and very important to her. She gave him his earring back, which she found near the vending machine. Before he left, she told him she did not hate him and that he had made her happy. She told him she wanted to figure it out and asked if he still wanted to give it a chance until Christmas. In response, he hugged her tightly. In the street, the new couple greeted each other. He complimented her, accidentally calling her an angel. Realizing what he had said, he started blushing. Her hands were cold, so he offered her his gloves, but she declined. She realized she should stop behaving as she used to now that she was in a relationship. They sat together by the school stairs. She wanted to discuss some ground rules and what they should do now they were going out. He said he would be glad if they could be buried next to each other, which shocked her. She clarified she meant kissing and hugging, which made him smile and tease her. She asked her friends if it was okay to sit back and do nothing while he spoiled her with love, saying she wanted to do things for him too. Hananoi handed his girlfriend notes for every subject since finals were near. She thanked him, but the bell interrupted them. He patted her head and said he would see her later. The next day, Hotaru left the house early to surprise Hananoi by waiting for him first, but she found him already there. She kept trying the following days, but still found him there every time. Determined, she tried again, arriving 2 hours earlier. This time, to her delight, she did not see him. She was thrilled, thinking she had finally succeeded in surprising him. When he approached, he asked her what she was doing there so early. She explained she wanted to do something nice for him. He was surprised, saying no one had ever waited for him before. She said she was excited to see his reaction and found waiting for someone fun. He was overjoyed, knowing she had been thinking about him, which made Hotaru happy too. They went to a store and she bought a notebook. They decided to write down things they wanted to do together. He wrote one thing, which was that he wanted to spend Christmas Eve with her. Leaving the store, they held hands. Day by day, they started spending more and more time together, growing closer with each passing moment. Hotaru sat with her friend and expressed her uncertainty about whether her feelings for Hananoi were love. Her friend's boyfriend suggested she should try kissing Hananoi, which shocked Hotaru. His girlfriend quickly shut him down. As Hotaru was about to walk home, she found Hananoi waiting for her. She told him he should not have waited, but he explained it was the last day of class and he wanted to spend more time with her. He started sneezing and she scolded him for waiting in the cold. He then invited her to his place. At Hananoi's place, Hotaru asked about his parents. He explained they were doctors, often overseas, and his grandmother checked in on him sometimes. Hotaru noticed his still red face and asked if he was okay. He assured her he was fine and asked her to wait in his room. Curious, she tried to open a shelf with a curtain, but he placed his hand on hers, asking her not to. Startled, she apologized. He brought tea, and they started a conversation. He asked if she still did not see him as a boyfriend and clarified he did not intend to be just friends. If they ended their trial dating, they might never see each other again. Hotaru suggested they try kissing to see if she really liked him. He leaned in and whispered that she should not try to let someone kiss her unless she truly liked them. He confessed that holding her hand and being close to her made his heart ache. Then his face was a few inches away from hers. When Hananoi unexpectedly collapsed on top of her, Hotaru thought he was about to kiss her. Instead, she found him running a fever and breathing heavily. She quickly called his family to come over and help. Later, when her sister asked her to join them for dinner, Hotaru refused, feeling undeserving and upset about recent events. Lying in bed, she texted Hananoi an apology for asking him to kiss her. She then remembered he wanted to spend Christmas Eve with her, realizing it marked the end of their relationship trial. She took a sewing kit to her mom, which she asked for to fix her sister's dress for an upcoming ice skating show. While there, she noticed missed calls from Hananoi. When she called him back, he surprised her by walking through the door, explaining he was worried when she did not answer. Overwhelmed with relief, Hotaru knelt down and tearfully confessed how worried she had been. Hananoi comforted and brought her a snack and apologized for causing her concern. She then apologized for hurting him, explaining she was afraid of losing him, much like she had lost a friend in the past. Just as she was about to give him her answer about their relationship, he assured her it was okay to wait until she felt better. They decided to go on their planned date. Seeing her family, Hananoi asked if he could take Hotaru out for a while, which surprised them. They went to an amusement park where Hotaru enjoyed seeing the brightly lit rides. They shared a meal together, and she bought him a scarf. They played on the rides, and he suggested they go skating, although she was nervous about this. He promised to support her, and they nervously held hands. When the lights suddenly went out, Hotaru suggested they head home, thanking him for everything. She realized she still had not given him her answer about their relationship. As they started skating, Hananoi told Hotaru he admired how she reciprocated his gestures, apologized when she was wrong, shared her food, and was not jealous when people had things that she didn't have. Blushing, Hotaru said she thought those were normal things, but he disagreed. He said he loved her more each day and surprised her by knowing that it was her birthday. Almost slipping on the ice, he caught her and lifted her into his arms. The couple went to the shrine visit with Hotaru's friends. Hananoi offered to hold her hand, but she said she would hold onto her friend's hand instead. She prayed that her friends find happiness and that she can learn about love. The boys went to get food and the girls were in charge of getting the drinks. Hananoi told Kurata that he did not intend to become friends since he was the one who gave Hotaru the idea to kiss him. Kurata came back on his own, so Hotaru decided to look for Hananoi and found him helping an elderly woman. He asked her if they could spend some time alone, just the two of them. She asked if he was having fun, and he replied that as long as he was with her, he was having fun. He took a leaf out of her hair, which surprised her. He asked if she was avoiding him, and she explained that she was feeling shy. He placed his hands on either side of her and reassured her that he would not touch her. He told her that he missed her since they had not seen each other in a while. Hotaru felt nervous, but relieved. He pulled away, and they went back to join their friends. Hotaru started a part-time job in a library. She wanted to learn more about Hananoi by being in a world that interests him. He approached her and handed her a book he wanted to get, and then paid the bill. He asked her when her shift ends and if he could wait for her at a nearby coffee corner. She told him she finishes at 8, and he said he would read a book while he waits. After her shift, he asked why she chose to work in a library. She hesitated and decided not to tell him the reason. After several days, he started waiting for her outside the bookstore and waited to walk her home. She was about to decline but realized he valued their time together. When they got to her house, her mother invited Hananoi to stay for dinner. He pulled out their journal and told her he wrote something, so it was her turn. When she opened it, she saw he wrote that he wanted to see what she looked like as a kid. When he saw the pictures, he was amazed at how cute she was. She blushed and told him to show his old pictures next time. He told her that she looked very pretty with long hair and asked if she wanted to grow it out like before. She expressed that she did not know if she ever would. She told him his long hair looked nice and he claimed he would grow it. She revealed the reason for working in a library and that she kept her hair short since elementary school after a friend cut it as a joke. He asked if it was the same friend she mentioned before, and she said yes. He told her that when he was a kid, he was terrified to talk to anyone he did not know, which surprised her. She smiled and said they were similar. They were both happy to share their pasts with each other. She played with his hair, which surprised them both, and she started apologizing, but her mother interrupted by calling them for dinner. He thanked her for having him over, and after that, they said goodbye. Hotaru's coworker begged her to help her become friends with Hananoi. In the school hallway, Hotaru discussed the incident with her friends. She realized she had never seen him have any friends and thought it might be a good idea to introduce them. After all, he was not her official boyfriend yet, so she should not keep others away. Hananoi noticed she had not touched her lunch and asked why. She giggled nervously and asked him about making new friends. He replied he did not need any and was not interested. At home, she asked her mother for advice. Her mother said getting hurt is part of life, so she should choose who is most important to her. Later, Hananoi and Hotaru went to the rooftop, enjoying the beautiful view. Suddenly, the door to the roof closed and locked from the inside. She texted her friend for help. Hananoi was about to give her his cardigan since it was windy, but she refused. They snuggled close to share the warmth and the cardigan. He whispered they would be okay. He noticed that she had been not feeling well lately and asked why. She told him, and he was relieved it was just that. He sneezed, and she suggested they get closer for warmth. Though he claimed it was a bad idea, she insisted since it was a desperate time. Feeling Hananoi's heartbeat, Hotaru told him she would fix the situation with her coworker, and now knew whose feelings she valued the most. Hananoi pulled her close and promised not to let her go. He was about to kiss her when her two friends burst through the door. The next day, Hotaru confronted her coworker, who was not upset, and explained she wanted to be friends with Hananoi because he looked like her idol. Hotaru went shopping with her friends and bought an outfit for her date. She arrived at their meeting spot and held out her hand for him, which he took. They went to see a movie, but Hotaru felt uncomfortable. So Hananoi held her hand and told her to close her eyes if it was too scary. After the movie, they went to get lunch, but the place Hotaru picked was closed. She apologized and he reassured her that her thoughtful planning was enough. They bought each other gifts as a memory of the day and laughed when they realized they got each other the same keychain. On the bus ride home, she told him she had fun on their date. He walked her home and they sat on a bench in the playground where they first met. He expressed that he was very happy, yet scared. A ball coming their way interrupted their conversation, and Hananoi covered her, taking the hit himself, which knocked him out. When he regained consciousness, he told her he wanted to stay for a while. He opened up about everyone leaving him for someone else, feeling he might not be enough. She confessed that she liked him and asked him not to sacrifice himself for others. He asked if she was being truthful, saying it made him happy if she was. Hotaru realized she was in love with Hananoi. They greeted each other at their usual meeting spot, and she tried to confess her feelings but struggled to get the words out. At work, she met a new coworker, Sohei, and remembered that they knew each other since elementary school. She recalled how her friend back then had asked her to help her win Sohei's affection. At the end of her shift, she took the elevator with Sohei and he started talking about their last meeting at graduation. As soon as the elevator doors opened, she rushed out. Sohei tried to catch up, but Hananoi grabbed him and started threatening him. Hotaru intervened, explaining that Sohei was an old acquaintance. The next day, Sohei asked if her boyfriend was okay after the incident, and she reassured him that he was fine. When Hananoi picked her up from work, she asked why he was coming so often. He admitted he was worried about Sohei. Realizing he might be overdoing it, he apologized for bothering her and left. That night, Hotaru had a nightmare about her past, where her friend confronted her about rumors she liked Sohei. The next day, she and Hananoi sat on a bench, enjoying each other's company. Hananoi noticed she seemed down and apologized, thinking it was his fault. She urged him to be honest, and he confessed his fear that she might meet someone better and leave him. She reassured him, pulling him close and expressing that she was the only one she wanted to love. At the library, Hotaru saw a Valentine's Day fair advertisement and asked Hananoi out on a date. As she waited for him, he texted, asking to meet an hour later due to some trouble at home. Worried, she decided to check on him. When he opened the door, he was covered in chocolate and wearing an apron. He'd been trying to bake for her, but failed. They baked together, and she admired how hard he worked at new things, telling him that is why she liked him. While waiting for the cake, Hotaru shared the truth about her elementary school story and the rumor that she liked her friend's crush. Despite it not being true, it was not enough to reassure her friend. Hananoi told her he could see she cared deeply despite what happened. She worried that love could change people, but he reassured her that it could also change people for the better. She handed him the box of chocolates, and he thanked her, expressing how happy he was. He asked if she was sure what she felt was love, and she reassured him that she loved him. He told her that as long as he had her, he did not need anything else, and he wanted her only to himself. They were interrupted by his grandma, who scolded him for bringing a girl over while his parents were not home. Hotaru excused herself, and Hananoi walked her out, apologizing and explaining that his grandma was strict. He told her it was best they did not talk for a while so she could think about what he had said, and they could pick up from there. Hananoi remembered his old man's advice about always speaking the truth. Later, Hotaru received a text from him saying they should stop walking to school and eating lunch together for a while. Walking in the hallway with her friends, she saw Kurata, asking Hananoi for help studying. On her way home, Hotaru got a text from her mother, asking her to pick up something from the supermarket. At the supermarket, she reached for the salad at the same time as another woman and realized it was Hananoi's grandma. She started apologizing for the other day, but his grandma reassured her there was nothing to worry about and thanked her for calling when Hananoi got sick. Then the grandma invited her for coffee, and they talked about Hananoi. Hotaru asked why he lived alone, and his grandma explained that his parents volunteered in poorer countries, helping children who could not afford medical care. She mentioned how they were helping everyone's children but their own. She shared that she had taken care of Hananoi at first, but he later wanted to move back to his parents' old apartment. She noticed a change in him and teased Hotaru about being the reason behind it. At home, Hotaru texted him saying she did not believe he did not care about others because she had seen him help everyone around him. She also told him that she missed him. As she was sleeping, her phone lit up with a call from Hananoi, who was breathing heavily. She rushed to her window and saw him outside her house. She ran down the stairs and held him tight when she reached him. They went to the playground and she confessed that she was sure she liked him, but when he asked if she was certain about her feelings, she felt like she was doing something wrong. She wasn't sure she would be the ideal girlfriend, but asked if they could still be together, despite seeing things differently because being with him made her happy. His eyes teared up, and he started laughing, and he told her that he loved her. When she got nervous, thinking he would kiss her, he planted a kiss on her forehead instead. Hotaru was out with her two friends, who told her they were proud of her for making her relationship work. They asked what she and Hananoi were going to do during spring break. She informed them that he got a job at the library too, so they would see each other at work. At the library, the manager asked Hananoi to go with him and taught him a few things, telling him to keep it professional with Hotaru since they were dating. Sohei and Hananoi met in the dressing room, and Sohei asked if they could start over and be friends since they were co-workers now. Hananoi rejected the offer and warned him to stay away from Hotaru. Later, as Hananoi and Hotaru walked home together, she asked if he wanted to go to a cafe, and he nodded. At the cafe, she suggested they discuss things they would not want each other to do while in a relationship. He told her he had not thought about it and simply asked her not to leave him behind. The manager told his employees that the library received a large order of dictionaries for new elementary school students, which meant he will stay overtime to wrap them up. Hotaru and her co-workers decided to help wrap the dictionaries during working hours, which they successfully did. The manager was impressed, especially since Hananoi helped despite being new to the job. He offered Hananoi a drink and asked why he put in so much effort. The manager admitted he might have given Hananoi the impression that he did not like him because he did not know how to act since Hananoi had been a regular customer before starting to work there. Hananoi shared this with Hotaru, who looked at him with admiration. As the bus came, she stood up to leave, but he held her hand and asked if she could stay a little longer. He explained that they could only be close outside of work, and spending time together alone would help them get used to it. She started blushing, and he told her that someday, when she was ready, she would give him a hint, and he would kiss her so it could be special for both of them. At home, Hotaru was on the phone with Asami, who complained about being invited to Kurata's house, but his family had a dog that scared her. Hotaru asked Sohei if he had any tricks for befriending dogs since he had one. Therefore, he invited her to his house and asked Hananoi to come too. They both went there along with Asami, who was nervous about seeing the dog. They all started talking about how they met Hotaru, but Hananoi reminded them that they came to play with the dog. Sohei brought his dog out and they all started petting her except for Hananoi. Asami faced her fear and petted the dog. When they left, Hananoi teased Hotaru, saying he felt jealous because she went the extra mile to help a friend. She explained that Asami helped her overcome her fear of making new friends, so she wanted to help her in return. Hananoi received a phone call from his grandma, who wanted to check on him and let him know that his parents were coming home this spring. She invited him over, but he said he planned to spend the day with his girlfriend. On the other hand, Hotaru was planning a picnic lunch and thinking about how she could make him happy. She even considered kissing him and asked her mother for advice. Her mother said a kiss was a natural next step to become closer to someone. However, her plans were disrupted because her grandfather's memorial service was on the same date. On the 6th, Hananoi received a happy birthday text from Hotaru, which made him smile. After the memorial service ended, Hotaru thought she might be able to still see him, but her family planned to go to a hotel and have dinner before heading home. Her sister encouraged her to go and see Hananoi, telling her she was now independent. Therefore, she left. At the park, Hananoi noticed a couple with a child, which reminded him of how his parents left him to be with other kids overseas. This saddened him. Hotaru went to his house but could not find him, and he was not answering his phone. She received a text from him saying he was at home, but that made her wonder why he was lying. She ran and texted him, saying she was coming to find him. When she reached the park, she called out his name and hugged him, causing them to both fall. He asked if she was okay and about the memorial service. She told him she realized she had to see him that day and wish him a happy birthday. She did so. He hugged her and told her he loved her. He assured her that she did not have to put him first, and all he wanted was for her to stay with him. They laid on the grass, admiring the beauty of the cherry blossoms. She told him she knew his birthday was hard for him, but she was there for him. He watched her with admiration. Spring break had ended, and the couple started their second year of high school, but they were placed in different classes. Kurata, Asami, and Hananoi were in Class 3, while Hotaru was in Class 4. Hananoi noticed Hotaru calling Kurata by his first name and asked her when she would start doing the same for him. This confused her, so he excused himself, saying he would see her later. Hotaru settled into her new class, and Hananoi later came to ask her to have lunch together, surprising everyone. Since her friend Shibamo would be left alone, Hananoi invited her to join them. Hotaru pulled him aside and mentioned that this arrangement would not just be for one day. Hananoi said he could live with that, but she suggested they also find time for themselves. At the stairs, Hotaru excused herself, saying she forgot to grab a drink, leaving Hananoi and Shibamo alone. Shibamo apologized for imposing, but Hananoi said it was fine. She asked what he did when he did not have lunch with Hotaru, and he replied that he usually found somewhere to eat alone. She mentioned that while eating alone was easy, everyone generally disliked it. Hananoi agreed, but added that he enjoyed eating with Hotaru. Shibamo agreed as well. After lunch, Shibamo suggested they head back to class, but Hananoi asked for a minute alone with Hotaru. Shibamo said goodbye and left. As soon as she was gone, Hananoi pulled Hotaru close and held her tight. She asked if he was okay with lunch and to tell her if he was not. Hananoi reassured her, saying he could see she cared about him. While walking home, Hotaru suggested they try eating lunch with her friends to see if they liked it. She reminded him that change is not always bad. The next day, they all sat together for lunch. Her friends teased her about the food she made, and she explained that she had been practicing with Saki-kun. Everyone asked who Saki-kun was, while Hananoi was in complete shock. Hotaru then covered her face with her hands, and everyone realized that Saki-kun was Hananoi's first name. When Hananoi left for work, he ran into Sohei. Sohei confronted him, saying that while flipping through his yearbook, he realized that Hananoi had transferred to their elementary school. He asked why Hananoi had not mentioned this to Hotaru. Hananoi replied that he saw no reason to bring it up if she did not remember, leaving Sohei confused. The couple went to the arcade with Sohei and Satomura. As they were leaving, Hotaru asked Hananoi what he wanted to do next. However, she was so focused on him that she accidentally tripped and fell, injuring her knees. Hananoi knelt in front of her as she sat on a bench, cleaning her injuries. She asked if he enjoyed the day, and he replied that he did, adding that it was nice to go out like that sometimes. He noted that she seemed okay, despite having mentioned earlier that things were weird between her and Sohei. Hotaru explained that Sohei was the boy her old friend had cut her hair over, which still made her feel scared around him even though he had not done anything wrong. Hananoi told her she was amazing for always putting other people's feelings first. He almost kissed her but stopped himself, remembering the promise he made. She hugged him, and he apologized for putting her in an awkward position. Hananoi then remembered that there was something that he had not shared with her yet, but she cut him off, asking if it was something she really needed to hear, and noting that his expression looked as if it were the end of the world. He explained that he was feeling nervous and that what he wanted to talk about was something related to how lame he was. He reassured her that he would not blame her if she hated him after hearing it. This made Hotaru whine, and she asked him if he could avoid telling her, trying to convince him that there were things about her that might cause him to hate her too. Yet he insisted that she needed to know. She explained that despite going out already, it was still hard to tell each other every secret. She suggested that they should start asking each other questions instead, and he agreed. Later, as they were walking in the hallway, she asked him if his decision to not make friends was made long ago, and he explained that he had only one friend during middle school. Hotaru wanted to know what the friend was like. They walked into an empty classroom and sat by the window. Hananoi opened up that the friend was much older than him, which Hotaru found strange. He explained that he was very rebellious back then and that his friend helped him pierce his ear. The boy was a free spirit and did not care much about things like that, but then he left without any explanation. He confessed that he did not want to go through all that again. Hotaru told him that sometimes he made himself sound like a bad person, but in reality he was sincere and better than he thought. She asked him to close his eyes and explained that whenever he holds her, she loses track of her feelings. She played with his hair, which made him blush, and placed a kiss on his forehead. Upon realizing what she did, she hid her face with the curtain nearby. He put his hand on her shoulder, making her turn, then kissed her. Hotaru and Hananoi were sitting at the train station when an announcement was made that the train would be 20 minutes late due to heavy rain. This delay brought back a memory for Hananoi when he was sitting with an old man on a bench. The old man had once exposed Hananoi's crush on a young Hotaru, who he would watch play from afar every day despite the cold. One day, as Hotaru played badminton with her friends, the shuttlecock flew near the old man. He handed it back to her and advised her to be careful, not to let it fall onto the road. The old man also reminded Hananoi about the importance of helping others, apologizing when wrong, and always saying thank you. Later, young Hananoi returned home to find his grandmother arguing with his mother over the phone. At school, he noticed how Hotaru did not interrupt a group of classmates talking and instead continued cleaning. Hananoi kept watching her whenever she came into view. As graduation approached and some students were headed to different middle schools, the teacher gave them a special assignment to exchange cards with at least 3 people they wanted to stay in touch with. Hananoi made a paper rocket with his card and threw it into the air. To his surprise, Hotaru caught it. She explained they went to the same school and mentioned that the old man was not with him that day. She asked if he was planning to give his card to anyone, and he confessed he did not have many friends. Hotaru expressed a similar sentiment and asked if they could exchange cards. Hananoi was thrilled, but since he had not filled out his card yet, she told him he could give it to her later at school. While walking in the school hallway, thinking about when to give her his card, Hananoi overheard 2 girls talking about Sohei and a girl with him. Looking out the window, he saw Hotaru hugging Sohei, which upset him and made him decide not to give her the card. As he was about to leave school, he noticed Hotaru's shoes were still there, so he ran to her classroom. Instead of finding her alone, he saw her friend attacking her and cutting her hair in revenge for not considering her feelings. Hananoi, feeling horrible for not intervening, left her crying by herself. He went to the old man expressing his despair. The old man comforted him, encouraging him to cry and reminding him that experiencing despair is what helps one grow. The couple went to see a movie, and during it, he held her hand, which made her happy. He asked if she was okay, and she replied that she was happy, making him blush. After the movie, they saw a set of rings sold in pairs for couples. He tried to buy one for her, but she refused because it was expensive. He worried that he had done too much, but she led him to another store with cheaper rings, and they bought matching ones. She told him that he had taught her what love was, and thanked him. He replied that he was the one who was grateful that she fell in love with him and thanked her in return. He seemed upset, so she asked if he was okay. In response, he kissed her, saying she was cute and that he could not resist it.